Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned and share them with us as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the reverse podcast method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. For today, our special guest is Stan Collesano, which I know I've said that wrong. So Stan, you can correct me in a second. But he is the owner of Excendio M&A Advisors, providing exit strategy and M&A advisory services, which I'm looking forward to hearing more about as well. So Stan, welcome to the show. And I want to start off with a question that I love asking to begin with. And it is this: if you were to go back when you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah, so thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me. And it's Stan Collesano, so you did a great job. Uh,
Brilliant.
yeah, and the only thing I'll correct you on is I am one of the senior advisors at Excendio. So
Okay.
I just to make that clear. So what's that one piece of advice? I think the best piece of advice I could give someone starting a new business or starting out is prepare yourself for the end in mind. Like one of the first questions you should ask is, how am I going to exit this business? How am I going to exit this profession? It helps establish a goal, benchmarks, and something to work towards.
Yeah, amazing. Which goes in line with what you do by thinking of the M&A or exit strategies as well, thinking what that end in mind is brilliant. Is there a common theme that you look at with businesses and business owners that you see in terms of them making mistakes about not thinking about the end in mind? Is there, like, if you were to look at it and go, gosh, if every business owner were just to be able to know this, what would that thing be?
Yeah, great question. I think it would be actually running your business instead of working in it. Many times when people start a business, all they're doing is creating a job for themselves. And initially, that's okay. When you start out, your budget's tight, funds aren't always available, so you do many things, but you have to transition into actually being the CEO, actually running your business, moving yourself up to that 30,000-foot view, uh, and working towards why you became an entrepreneur in the first place, to let people earn money for you. So my biggest piece of advice when I work with clients is take yourself out of the mix, bring yourself back up top. You don't have to put out every fire. You're going to hire qualified people to do that for you. So it's getting yourself back up into that spot.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. You just mentioned something I think is really important as well, is about working on your business instead of in it. That in the beginning, yeah, you might be doing everything. What are some key things from your experience with helping people with M&A and also exit strategies? What are some first steps for people to start working towards to start removing themselves in a business that would make their business more appealing to either be bought out or maybe be acquired by another company?
Yeah, so really getting out of the weeds, right? So I have a number of private equity clients, and one of the first things they look at is the owner so tied into the business that when we remove them, we have to hire someone to replace them, and that devalues your company. They would rather take you out, and whatever you pay yourself gets added back into the value of your company. So if I'm purchasing it, then I know if the owner's being paid three, 400, $500,000, well, that's money I now have to get a return on my investment, rather than now I have to go hire someone and pay them 200,000 to replace the owner. That's step one. Step two is really looking at the structure of the business. What does the revenue look like? Is there an opportunity for a subscription-based or recurring revenue? That helps increase the value. is your income spread out over a wide variety of clients and not concentrated into simply just one area? So those are kind of the first things we look at when we value a business or I represent a seller. Where are you on that point? And then I hate to say it, a business is like a child to most people. It's so personal and tied in. And, that old saying, I really don't want to tell you that your baby's ugly, but until we fix it and make it pretty, sometimes they're ugly and the value is not what the owner believes.
Mm, yeah, yeah. One of the things I always say to my clients is you have to remove the emotion on what you're doing with things. Would you say that that's true in that case as well? Because you can take on that ownership of that business as like a baby, and it's like your thing, you do it your way, and I don't think that that's very conducive to selling a business, though.
No, absolutely. You have to take the emotion out of it, and you created it. I understand that, and it's been your life for how many years? But when it comes time to sell, we have to take the emotion out of it and look at how we can maximize the value for you as the seller. And on the private equity side, when I represent a buyer, we want that emotion out because what we want is a well-run machine that we know that we can now put in funds and get a good return on the investment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. Is there any particular you mentioned something there about not needing to replace the owner with someone else, but also things about recurring revenue models and things like that. Are there any specific types of businesses that you find more appealing to be either bought out or maybe merged with another company?
Tech companies right now are hot. Cybersecurity is hot. When a buyer looks at a company, no matter what industry, no matter what vertical, they don't want to work all that hard. So that recurring revenue is very attractive, whatever your model is. And if I can go in and help you create that model, that is one of the things I will do.
Mm,
Project-based companies are a lot of work. We have to continually chase the next project, which devalues the company if I'm purchasing it because I know I have to go out and chase the next sale. And is your sales force up to that challenge? What does that look like?
mm,
So I wouldn't say in particular that there is one industry or vertical. It's really the characteristic of a business. And in today's world, the architecture of a business is changing so rapidly that you have to be nimble. You have to be able to, account for today's technologies that are constantly changing. The old way we have done business doesn't work anymore. And if you're stuck in that architecture, again, that's devalues your company.
mm. When you say the old ways that we used to work don't work anymore, what are some examples of that so people kind of go, oh yeah, gosh, Dan, I am stuck in that way right now. I need to change the way I'm doing things.
Old methods of marketing and sales. Those are two really big ones. With AI, we want to remove order takers. Uh, that can be accomplished by AI. An old or entrenched leadership team that doesn't have the foresight to really be nimble and move quickly. I will tell you 2 years ago, we would look at maybe a 3-year vision projection for the company. Unfortunately, nowadays it has to be 6 months to a year because things move so fast. So if you're working on this 3-year vision, that's old thinking, old architecture. Business moves too
Mm,
fast today to worry about that, something that far out. Technology is going to change, your business is going to change. So we have to look at planning within the next 6 months to a year and account for things. Those are some of the characteristics of old architecture.
yeah, yeah, that's really interesting because you hear so many people talk about, what's your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year vision. And I guess in some ways you do need to think, have some sort of long-term goal in some ways, but it's interesting to hear you say actually having that, what's that, 6 month or a year vision, because things move so quickly. Um, yeah, I definitely think a lot of people don't think in those terms. Do you find that to be a challenge for a lot of business owners right now?
Absolutely. It is. It's a huge challenge to now shift your mindset to thinking so quickly. Um, I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers recently. Over 5 million businesses in the US are created every year, and 80% are going to fail. Um,
Mm,
you look in the tech industry, the average life of a tech company now is 10 to 15 years. And if you can make it 3 to 5 years, you're doing well because so many fall or fail. So having that long-term short-sightedness really helps you stay on top, helps you find the niche where you can be most effective and finding your ICP and going after that, being nimble and really working towards, from the very first thing that I said, your end in mind.
yeah.
And your end maybe sooner than you think, um, but working towards that.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. Well, one of the questions I always like to ask, and I may have to rephrase it for what you've just said. I always ask people, "What's your kind of 3 year goal with what you're working towards?" And you might have one, but do you have like a 6 month, year, or 3 year goal that you're working towards in what you're doing?
So me personally, yes, I over the past couple years have really tried in my own little world to prevent companies from failing. Because as I mentioned, that number is so high. So my
Mm,
goal every 6 months to a year is to try to help 5 to 10 companies uh, create long-term sustainable companies, or even companies that 3 to 5 years now we can turn around and sell. Um, there is a piece for some business owners. What do I do next? We'll figure that out. We have lots of people that can help you with that. But in today's world, you get in, you create something, and then you turn around and sell it. And unfortunately, that's just the way the world is right now.
hmm Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, Stan, for anyone that is wanting to learn more about what you do or get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, they can email me at SL, so Stan and like SL at excendio.com.
Amazing, amazing. Well, anyone that wants to get in touch with Stan, please do that. Stan, thank you so much for being on the show. I love just hearing a lot of this, some very different things that you've communicated that I think can really help a lot of business owners. So thank you for that. And as a reminder for everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the reverse podcast method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborne, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.